This is a major turning point for the St. Louis Blues as an NHL insider reveals where Doug Armstrong and Dylan Holloway currently stand during their contract talks. But not only that, we get huge injury updates around the St. Louis Blues after a scary injury had fans worried about one key forward. We're going to break down all this, the contract talks, and so much more later on this set. So before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. We're trying to reach a goal of 4,500 subscribers before the season starts. So if you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the St. Louis Blues, just go down and hit that free subscribe button. It helps a bunch, and in return, we'll give you daily updates from all around the team. But with that, Darius, let's just go straight into this today. And before we get into the reports coming around Dylan Holloway, we're going to go straight into where we did see 2 days ago that Snuggerud and Lucic both tweaked something and were out for a time. Now with this, we do get two updates, and this is awesome to see that Snuggerud is back on the ice for practice, no limitations. He's going straight into practicing fully, and with that as well, Lucic, who missed a couple of days with practice, is back on the ice skating. Now we're going to dive into a little bit of Lucic, the PTO, but what is your thoughts on them kind of missing out on two injury scares?
Yeah, which is good because if you look around the league, there's a lot of injury, not even scares. There are some significant injuries around the league. Florida Panthers, a couple other teams as well. So the Blues kind of escaping that right now, which is good news. Snuggerud not missing too much time getting back into the lineup. I assume getting back into the lineup and back into practice, which is really good. You don't want to miss too much time. You know, missing time in training camp can really derail your season, especially for a younger guy like this. So I'm excited that he's going to be back. You know, obviously he's on the ice, he's practicing, but see him back into the lineup, what he can do the rest of preseason, because things are starting to take shape. We're having an idea of what the lineup might start to look like as we creep towards the end of the preseason here next week. So that'll be exciting. In terms of Lucic, like you bring up, Mark, this guy is not going to make this team, and I didn't think he was going to when they signed him. I thought it was a little puzzling when they did. The only saving grace of this signing to me when it happened was that he's a guy who's won a Stanley Cup and plays the physical side of the game, which I think the league is going more towards now the last couple of years. If you look at 10 years ago, as more speed, skill, some smaller guys, you could win the Stanley Cup like those Pittsburgh Penguins teams. Now I feel like it's more the way it was before. The physicality is up. You need bigger bodies, stuff like that. So that was the only saving grace, bringing a guy like that into this environment to teach some of the younger guys, like, hey, this is the way you need to play, and maybe lead by example a little bit. But I don't think that's the case. He's missed a lot of time. He does not look. He looks out of place in all the videos that you look at, whether it's at practice, game stuff like that. I don't think he's going to make this team. And quite frankly, there's other players that deserve to be on this team over him that have been with the organization, whether they're younger or even older guys that should be taking those spots and playing those roles for the Blues. So I don't think he's going to make the team, but we'll see what happens with him. There's been speculation that maybe he goes down to Springfield and plays the season there or gets into games there. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But ultimately, I think the lineup is starting to take shape, and I think that's very exciting. There's still a few things to iron out, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen with some of the younger guys, but some young guys have shown out in this preseason, and I think are making things very difficult for Doug Armstrong.
And I think the big thing is if you get Lucic on an AHL contract, he can help with a very young AHL team looking to make a push to win a Calder Cup. So there is value to keep him around, just not with the Blues organization, as we're seeing the age and declining factor of his skating. But the big thing with this Blues team, Snuggerud being back, if he missed significant time, it would have sucked. He's set to start on the top line once again. If you miss a lot of time, maybe Monty goes towards a new option on the top line. But going into Snuggerud, we're going to get a full 82 games out of him, which is going to be incredible. We've seen a stint going into end of the season. He looked incredible during the postseason last year. But going into the season, who looks like he could be a favorite to win a Calder, Darius, what is your thoughts on just Snuggerud? Do you think this is a season that we could see him go out to put up maybe 20 goals and 40 points? Or do you think there is a legitimate chance? I know there's a lot of great guys to meet off over in
Yeah.
Montreal, but do you think there's a chance for him to maybe even make the push to win the Calder?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the mix. That's for sure. Is he actually going to win the Calder? Well, we have to see how the season plays out, I should say, this season. Because, like you mentioned, there's Demidov. There's a bunch of really good young players and rookies this year that are going to show out, I think, in the league. But Snuggerud, I think, has a real shot to be in that mix. That's for sure. But one thing that's interesting to me is usually, in your sophomore season, which I guess this is still technically his rookie season, teams start to have more tape on you, things that you're doing and preparing for that in these roles. If he is playing on the first line, stuff like that. So I am wondering how he's going to adjust to stuff like that because last season, in a small sample size playoffs and the end of the regular season, he was half a point a game player. Like he was looking really good. And not only that, he's put on more weight since then. So he's ready to rock. He's ready to roll. We know that he brings the speed. We know what he can do in terms of goal scoring, his shot, all of that stuff. But what does he do when teams are starting to prepare for you? Because at the end of the season, yes, things are all tight. You know, teams are tightening up defensively. We're headed towards the playoffs, except for some teams that are going to miss the playoffs, of course, that are train wrecks. But you know, he's putting up a lot of points there in that situation. What does he do now that he's put on more weight? He's ready for that opportunity to, you know, really take it. And other teams are prepping for that. So what does he do with that? That's the most interesting storyline to me, I think, heading into this season, Mark. But I think he's still going to have a good season despite all of that, right? He's going to have to make adjustments. It's just the nature of the game, and all different players have to do that, especially younger players. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, it's not even technically his sophomore season. It is, I guess, his rookie season at this point. But in a small sample size last year, he looked great. All signs are pointing towards him, you know, building off of that. But I do think there are some question marks in terms of, you know, if teams are prepping for that first line and they're going to be looking to shut you down, how does he kind of maneuver that?
And I mean, what is your guys' thoughts? How many points do you think Snuggerud's going to put up? Is he going to win the Calder? Do you think he has a 50-point season if he stays stationed on the top line with Robert Thomas? Let us know down in the comments. But we'll go straight into the second topic today, where David Pagnotta of the fourth period went in to speak on Dylan Holloway. Dylan Holloway isn't rushing towards a new contract. Both sides are expected to see how the season plays out before discussing an extension. If he continues where he left off, the Blues may try to approach camp midway through the year. Now, Dylan Holloway looking like an absolute steal. We've seen the Edmonton Oilers sign Podkolzin to almost double what Holloway's getting paid this season, which makes it puzzling on their end, but who cares? They screwed up. We got a star player in return. But the big thing with Dylan Holloway is a full breakout campaign. We've seen a bit last season with the Edmonton Oilers, or 2 seasons ago, in the playoffs, putting up the 7 points in 25 games, but going into last year, 26 goals, 63 points, not even in a full season. If he was available during the playoffs, this could have been a full Stanley Cup run. I truly do believe having that extra scoring would have changed everything for this Blues team. But overall, Darius, we've seen Jim Montgomery speak on it, saying he looked like he didn't miss any time. It's good, second and third effort. I think it's contagious, and he was really good today going into training camp. But what is your thoughts on Dylan Holloway? We're going to get into the projected contract as well, but with this team not really speaking going into the season, but wanting to wait to see how things play out.
I think this makes the most sense for both parties at this point. We've talked about it. He's going to have another really good year. Again, I don't see him not having a good year at this point. He's going to continue to build off of the foundation that he's built so far in you know, St. Louis and the NHL at the NHL level. So we'll see what happens, you know, midway through the season, the type of season he's having. I think it's best or in the best interest for both parties to wait at this point, because we know players and their agents are looking for that big cash out now and shorter term deals. So I think that's the way it's going to go. Although if he comes out of the gate, you know, flying and he's putting up a crazy amount of points and it looks like he's going to be a point a game player, anything like that, I think the Blues have to step in and start negotiations in season, because that could probably get out of hand before the season ends. But honestly, I don't hate it. I think it makes sense for both parties. We'll see where the dollar amount, you know, falls, but I could see him around $9 million now on a short-term deal, maybe even a little bit more. Which is pretty crazy, but that's where these contracts are going now, with the dollar amounts going up, the cap going up. You know, agents and their players are very privy to that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I don't think there's, I think Holloway really likes the fact that the Blues went out and acquired him, right, via offer sheet, and that they want him and see, you know, that potential in him. So I think he's kind of fallen in love with the team, the organization. He wants to be here. So I wouldn't, you know, freak out or anything yet if you're a Blues fan. They're going to figure it out. They will get a contract done, but I don't think, you know, both sides are not in a rush. And I think that's fine because of everything that's happening around the league. And I think you also have to see some other contracts get signed first. So then you do have some comparables, which I think some of the top guys are waiting for, like Connor McDavid to sign. I'm not saying it's in the same realm, but I think that's what's happening right now. So it's going to get done at some point, but I think it's in the best interest of both parties to, you know, let the season play out at least a little bit at first.
But I mean, Blues fans, what is your thoughts on this? How much would you give Dylan Holloway? We see the projections on a 6-year, $8.2 million deal. Would you like to push for the 8 years? Are you fine with the short term? Let us know down in the comments. And speaking of comments, let's go straight in the comments of the day, where it's coming from Teddy Robinson. He said the future is looking very bright for the Blues. And listen, it's like the clear blue skies. The future is looking incredible for this team. Go down and let us know your favorite past Blues player, your favorite current, your favorite soon to come prospect. Let us know down in the comments. You can be featured on Comments a Day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care, Blues fans.